Ahmed Waqar Mohsin from UAE, internationally certified trainer and corporate consultant, as well as Lynette from Mexico, small business owner and a volunteer of the Creative Society Project. And welcome, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your opinion, your feedback of the conference, and for raising these topics once again. And the first question that we would like to ask you is actually, could you please share your thoughts and your feedback of the conference? Because the event is truly amazing and unprecedented. And this was probably the first time in the history when such topics were raised openly and honestly by people from so many countries. So could you please share your feedback and what topics impressed you the most? So maybe we can start with Waqar. I give the floor to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Kate. Yes, I would definitely like to highlight a few things about the conference. The way some of the topics, which are kind of known, but still being taken as unknown, those were being highlighted. And the effort of all the volunteers around the world, it was being clearly seen. As you have already said, there was a lot of information and it was really very hard to fit in everything in those 12 hours. But pick of the topics for me as an individual were basically all those issues related to the climate. If you talk about air pollution and its impact, if you talk about the oil spills around the world, if you talk about the forest losses and all these things, well, to fit in all these things in one conference and to raise the issue in a way which was being covered with the facts and figures which were really alarming. That really took me by heart. And along with that, there were further more topics, like the most exciting one and the most new one for me, that was the time cycle, which I would really like to talk about later in the discussion.
Mm-hmm. This is great. Yes, indeed, vital topics were voiced by the speakers on the conference. Probably the first time in history in such an open and extensive manner. And also, we would like to ask Ricky, so what were the topics that were of the most interest to you? So could you provide us your feedback from the conference?
Yes, and thank you for inviting me. The beginning of the conference was very good, with the religious leaders coming together, saying that we need to unite. To see them coming and saying, you know, hey, we have to do something. We need to work together. We need to change the scenario was really, really good. You know, and the CGI animation of the clock, of the time cycle, that was really shocking. Listening to Igor before speak about it, and then you guys putting in the conference the video showing it how it actually is, that was an eye-opener. That was a real eye-opener. And also with the synchronicity of these cataclysms happening over there in the east and over here in the west, it's, you know, pretty relatable with the earthquakes and all this. So yeah, it was really fantastic conference. It was more than I expected. It was much more than I expected.
Indeed. And, you know, same to me, because I couldn't even imagine that they could put so much information in such a comprehensive, understandable manner that you could watch it. And I think even a child can understand it after watching that. You know, of course, the topics are very serious, but still, it's great that people from different countries right now have an opportunity, have a possibility to watch it, to get this information in their native language and understand the, you know, the seriousness of the situation we're in right now as humanity. And one of the important topics that was raised by the speakers was, of course, the state of our planet Earth, the state of our common home where we live in. And of course, it is in a disastrous condition right now. And we would like to ask our technical support to show a really short excerpt from the conference so that our viewers could actually understand what we're talking about right now and see how drastically the situation is changing and how bad the pollution of our environment is. And then I would like to ask a question to Waqar, but before, let's watch the video.
The fundamental law of ecology is that everything affects everything. But are we really aware of this? At the international conference on July 24th, 2021, Global Crisis, this already affects everyone. Shocking facts about the state of our planet's ecology were voiced. During the 4 months since the last conference, the volunteers of the project Creative Society from all over the world have been monitoring the events related to environmental pollution, and we observed that the situation had deteriorated significantly. Air pollution. 90% of people on the planet breathe polluted air. Monitoring data shows regions and entire countries where the air is polluted almost constantly. The main reasons are manufacturing, power generations, transportation, and heating. In 4 months, many events have occurred that have worsened the air quality on the whole planet. These are forest fires, dust storms, landfill fires, explosions at factories, and chemical emissions. For example, in November, schools were closed in the Indian capital, Delhi, because of the air quality, and even the question of isolation was being considered. At the same time, people had to wear masks even at home.
The visibility is low, and pollution level is very high. As you can see, even the Red Fort is not visible from here. It feels smoky in the eyes, and it is difficult to breathe.
During the 4 months of monitoring, the number of deaths from air pollution exceeded 2 million people. Forest loss. The loss of forest is one of today's terrible disasters. But as it turns out, in real time, you can see the loss of forest only in the rainforest zone. The increase in tree cover loss warning in South America between August and October was 46% higher than during the same period last year. The world's largest rainforest, the Amazon, has lost more than 10,000 square kilometers since the beginning of 2021. That's an area the size of 2 Istanbuls. In the regions of South Asia and Australia, forest loss increased by 130%, and Africa experienced the highest increase 2.5 times.
The loggers are winning. The forest is being devastated, and the environment problem is growing. And nobody does anything.
Official statements talk of a reduction in the volume of logging and its termination, but facts show that it is only increasing every month. Garbage dumps. The data on the amount of rubbish that is made publicly available is very underreported. But even according to these data, in just 4 months, 730 million tons of rubbish was dumped in landfill sites. For comparison, the entire population of the Earth weighs 300 million tons, which means that in just 4 months, we have thrown away 2.5 times the weight of the entire population. Fires often occur in landfills, which cause even greater damage to people and the environment. For example, in August, the cemetery of old tires in Kuwait caught fire. Columns of black smoke could be seen even from space. The fire led to air pollution with toxic substances and caused harm to the health of almost 4.5 million people. Oil spills. Today, the state of our water resources is close to ecological disaster. One of the most dangerous pollutants is oil. 1 liter of spilled oil kills marine life in 40,000 liters of water, depriving them of oxygen. Just 2 grams of oil per kilogram of soil makes it unsuitable for planting. An incredible number of events related to oil spills took place in 4 months. We'll show just the largest of them.
Look at that. Look at that. Please, share this video. We have a massive oil spill in the Gulf of Paria right now.
In August, an oil spill the size of New York occurred in Syrian territorial waters. On the 1st of September, the oil slick was already 7 kilometers from the coast of Cyprus. According to available information during the 4 months alone, the total volume of oil spills was more than 27,500 square kilometers. This is equal to the area of 2 Sydney cities. Water pollution. Today, according to WHO, every 3rd inhabitant of the planet does not have access to safe drinking water. Over the past 4 months, human activity has caused the water resources to deteriorate significantly. Toxic emissions from clothing factories have polluted the sacred river in India. This led to Yamuna River getting covered by toxic foam. Despite this, people massively perform ablution in honor of the religious holiday.
It is a ritual to take a bath in the water body during Chhat Puja. I hope the government pays attention to the cleaning of Yamuna.
In these 4 months, almost 1 million people have died worldwide from water pollution alone, according to official reports. From the podiums, we say that the environmental crisis is the most important agenda of today. But what do? All that we see is the result of everyone's choice, the result of our inaction. In these 4 months, we could have already been building the creative society, our only chance that can save the environment and our lives. Instead, by our inaction, we supported the consumer format and thus continued destroying our planet. This means our future and the future of our children. We've lost 4 months. Let's not waste our last chance.
I know, Waqar, that you are interested in the topic of ecology, and could you please share your thoughts about what we've just seen, and also maybe let us know your opinion on the fact that can we overcome this situation, this obstacle that we have right now as a humanity, currently in the state of society where we live in, or what do you think about it?
Okay, let me start with the first thing which you have raised here about the opinion of what has been just shown now in the video, which we have already seen in the conference. This is something which is of really concerning nature, because as we have seen, this was a beautiful video in terms of facts and figures, which were being shown and shared. And all those major issues in terms of change, for example, air pollution was being shown here, how the whole thing is continuously increasing, the impact of air pollution and the way it is impacting our lives, even the lives of those people who are least concerned about it. Like sometimes I would just see this thing, for example, when we talk about air pollution, we talk about the oil spills, we talk about the water pollution. So first thing, which is quite clear, is that, as it's been shown also, there are a lot of conferences happened before in the private sector, in the government sector. But what is the outcome? Question mark. Governments around the world from different countries, it's not like they are not taking the notice of it, they are. But if we take it from the governmental perspective, if you're taking the notice, this is your job, this is our job. If we are taking the notice of it and we are highlighting the topic, okay, we did the step one. But what is after that? 2 question marks. People are raising the points, people are raising the topics, private sector, public sector, governments around the world, private sector around the world, spending a lot of money in order to arrange those conferences, in order to arrange those kind of gatherings. Millions are being spent on it. What is the solution? We don't know. And sorry to say, with all due respect, it's kind of a season. When you find somewhere in the Europe, there's something happening related to the fire, and you find a lot of people from private public sector gathering up, raising the issue, spending a lot of money in order to so-called making the awareness and all, no result. Then there comes a season of water, and then people start looking forward to the water crisis, forgetting about the air pollution they were discussing before. It just goes somewhere behind. And then there comes the water pollution. It becomes a trend, hashtag water pollution, hashtag this, hashtag that. And then 1 month, 2 months, gone, no result. Then you will find a news somewhere in the European countries or somewhere in the Middle Eastern countries that there's an oil spill. And then the whole world, including the media, move towards the oil spill, and then they forgot about it. So when I was looking towards those facts and figures being shared in the video during the conference, I was like, only in the 4 months time, just see the way the numbers have been increased in terms of the casualties, in terms of death of the people, in terms of loss of lives, and the list goes on and on. And as it was being mentioned, it's just a tentative figure. Obviously, it's quite underreported, I must say. And the second part which you raised, which you asked me about the solution, what I think about it, well, it is quite evident. We are living in this consumerist format for ages. This format is more about making money, making profit, and look at every single thing from the profit motive and profit perspective. With all due respect, we are all the part of it, and we cannot deny. Whether we like it or we don't like it, we are the part of this consumerist society right now. And it's also visible. It is not doing anything positive for any one of us. There are a lot of people who would deny with that fact and say, no, see what this kind of system has given to us. And see, we have got a lot of improvement in terms of technology, a lot of improvement in terms of provision. Okay. My question for that is, how many people around the world are really getting the benefit out of it? We have got improvement in technology. Okay. In that case, what kind of positive impact we are facing in terms of overcoming this climate change? Question mark. If I am getting clean water, if I have got a shelter to live, if I am spending, let's suppose, a very good life with my family, then because of this society, because of this consumerist format, with all due respect, I would be the one who would say, okay, these are all the matters, but it's not affecting me. So I'm least concerned about it. And this is what's happening around the world. Till the time people who are not getting affected, till the time you are not getting affected, you feel like, hey, it is happening, but it's of least concern for me. God forbid. If the same thing is going to be continued, then you will find that what is happening to the rest of the world will be faced by your kids in the future. What is happening to this country now will be faced by your country in the future. And why? Because right now, when there is a time, when you have got the resources, when you have got the forum, when you have got the voice to raise, you're not doing it. So it's a responsibility for every single individual around the world to take the things seriously and act before the things are going to be right above our head. We need to be proactive rather than being a reactive person at the end.
Thank you so much, Waqar. Thank you so much for pointing out the importance of taking this responsibility, actually, because yes, it is concerning everyone. And the ecology, the ecological situation, the climatic situation is already affecting every one of us. And if we don't see the obvious consequences of these effects, it doesn't mean that it doesn't affect us. Thank you so much. And I pass the floor to Marek because I know he has a very interesting question to Ricky.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to add that these were some very good points that you have raised, Waqar, especially the fact that today, as a result of the consumer format of society, people are just busy from morning till evening just to make sure that they earn for their living and actually don't have time to address these vital issues. And also one other point that you've mentioned is that relying on the governments and or the organizations who just put everything on the paper and spend a lot of money, hasn't proved itself to be working. So clearly we need a kind of different approach. And this is something that was outlined at the conference, that we need a creative society, where everyone can make the decisions, everyone can take the active position. And whereas ecology is something that we people have direct impact on. On the conference, there was one big part dedicated to the climate change, which unfortunately, with our current technology and with our current activities, we don't have any impact whatsoever on. And this has been proven by hard facts by the scientists, And so before we move on to the next question, I would like to invite you to watch a fragment from the conference dedicated to the topic of climate change.
Igor Mikhailovich, you said that we're entering the 24,000-year cycle, and the consequences of entering this phase are much more complicated than in the case if humanity would enter a 12,000-year cycle.
They're certainly worse.
In what way? What explains this?
Well, we actually explained it more than once, but let's explain one more time. Let's try to explain in a simple and understandable way. Well, let's try to explain in an abstract way. Just imagine, let's say, a clock dial. This clock dial is our galaxy. Above it, there is the entire universe, a major part of it. Well, below, there are already galaxies. Well, they're towards the edge of the universe, so to say. And there is 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock on the dial. 12 o'clock is located towards the universe, whereas 6 o'clock is located towards the edge of the universe. What is a cycle? And here there should be an understanding. A cycle is when our galaxy, during its rotation, while it constantly rotates, so the cycle of its rotation is exactly 24,000 years. Thus, it is exposed to radiation twice, in other words, from outer space, from the universe, from galaxies. There is, let's say, such a ray of light, like a laser, just to make it clear, which simply shines. It shines not just on our galaxy, but on other galaxies as well. Aggregation and addition take place. And it's a very harsh interaction. It's not the light, it is something a little bit different.
Energy.
Right, it's a flow of energy that is formed by means of two lenses. Never mind, let's not delve into this. It's not an astrophysics class now. Yet, this hard radiation, when we get into a gravitational interaction, into a strongly pronounced interaction with the universe, with masses of galaxies along one line, let's say, we get onto this line twice during the period of rotation. When we get to the point of 6 o'clock, it's a 12,000-year cycle. Then, our entire galaxy is above us. And numerous planets take this hit. But when we get into this radiation, and at that time we are at 12 o'clock, it turns out that we are on the front line. After all, our planet is in the Sophora arm, well, in the arm of our galaxy. The planet is situated nearly at the edge of the arm. So it turns out that nothing protects us.
And just like many other solar systems, we are actually a shield for our galaxy, for all planets and systems located below. Therefore, a much stronger impact takes place than when we are at the point of 6 o'clock, meaning when we rotate. Let's say, these interactions that take place, many people will come up with a question, how is that? It is clear that the galaxy rotates. Does it constantly occur or what? Well, the galaxy doesn't just rotate on its own, but there is also spiral movement of the galaxy itself in space, not only on its axis, but additionally. And so, getting into this cycle, when all this is combined, here we are exposed to this kind of process of interaction, so to say. Why is it not so dangerous at the other time? Because at other moments during 12,000 years, this impact occurs along a tangent line, meaning along a slanting line. There is no direct radiation. Here I can explain using the sun as an example. This will be very clear and illustrative. Why in the middle of summer, when it is hot and the sun is at its zenith, do our days become the hottest? Why? There is a straight ray. Or the sun begins to set, or autumn comes, for instance, or it is winter. The sun, let's say, is aside, and it turns out that the ray goes along the tangent line. There is no direct impact. For this reason, it is sort of warm, but not very warm. That's the kind of impact, or even better, you know, this is for a totally simplified understanding. Let's imagine a bullet that flies out of a gun is flying strictly horizontally, and there is a target that is located strictly vertically, so the bullet hits it precisely. And here naturally, if the material is not quite solid, the speed is sufficient and the hardness of the bullet is sufficient, then it breaks through this material. But it's enough to only change the angle of our target for the bullet to deflect upon contact. In other words, the target is no longer placed strictly vertically, but at an angle. So when hitting the target, the bullet will be deflected. The same is here. At 12,000 years, there is a reflection of these rays, and it doesn't cause us major harm. But when there is a direct impact, that's when the trouble begins.
Yes, so as we could see, basically the main and the only reason for the current climate change that we can already now today observe is not the anthropogenic factor, as someone is trying to persuade us people, but it is the cyclicity. It is the cosmic factor, you know, and we can already see it around us today that the destructive power, you know, and the frequency of all of these catastrophic events is gaining. And Ricky, we know that you are a direct eyewitness, you have been a direct eyewitness of an earthquake with a magnitude of 7.1 that hit Mexico some time ago. Could you please share with us your experience from this event, please?
Yeah, we had in 2017 and 2018, we had 2 earthquakes. And just recently, you guys know we had another one. The first earthquake that we had was really bad. It was the ship itself kind of like almost shook my husband and I over. We were standing at our counter and it just happened so quick. I was shocked by how quickly it happened. And it caused a lot of destruction here in Mexico City, a lot of fires on top of roofs, a school collapsed. And then after that one, I'm going to go back to that one. And then after that one, we had another one. And that one was even more terrifying. Just the way these earthquakes are happening, it's like they're changing. The one we just recently had a bouncing motion to it. Never felt that before. Ever. And then after we had it, Hawaii had an earthquake, and there was a lady who spoke. I believe you guys did a roundtable with her. She said that what they noticed that was quite different about the earthquake that they had, it was shaking motion, this bouncing motion. Okay. And just that right there was kind of shocking, because I thought my son was bouncing in the house and playing around, and we all looked at each other and we were having an earthquake. And to go back to the one in 2017, the only best part about that earthquake is seeing people come together. Okay, seeing the people come together, especially in that school where all these children were. We had people all around the city come over there. We had people bringing food, water, hot coffee, hot milk with coffee, everything you could think of, tamales, everything was brought there for these people to help them out, to keep them going. And we had equipment brought in. We had other countries come in. And, you know, and this harsh reality is that, why is it that, and this reality of all these cataclysms happening around our planet, in India, in China, in Japan, in the United States, here in Mexico, everywhere. This is not just happening in one single area, it's happening everywhere. Why is it that the only time we ever come together is during these periods of hardship? I mean, to think that's the only time that we should come together and unite as people, and believe that, you know, oh, we have to go and help now because they had an accident, or the earth has decided to have an accident on these people. It's just the wrong kind of thinking. It's because of our consumerist format that we live in. Everybody has their thinking aimed in one area. Okay, it's happened, let's go do it, let's take care of it. No. Let me just say, in the creative society, which I'm involved in, which I'm a volunteer with, in these situations, people wouldn't have to wait to have the help that they need. They would have the help right away, to help rebuild, to help relocate if it's necessary to relocate. And that's the whole idea of the creative society. And the ideas that we live in now, the reality that we live in now is just, let's just give them a few $100 or a few $1,000,000 and they'll be okay. No, majority of the time when they give money to these areas and these disaster zones, the money never goes there. It never goes there. It helps reconstruct the government buildings, but what about the people's homes? You know, it's the people that make things roll around. It's the 99% that keep things rotating. And to see that the money's only used for the officials only is absolutely wrong, when it's everybody's money. You know, our resources are allocated in governmental sections and sectors, yes, but the money's never used to help people rebuild. The whole idea, and like you said, the billions of dollars that are cast into climate change, where's the money? Where's the money? Is it going to help these people rebuild, relocate? Where's the money? There's no show of what they're actually doing with it. But in the creative society, under the A foundations, the allocation of money, everyone has access to it. Everyone knows where the money goes. Everyone votes on how it's used. So with the cataclysms that's happening, you know, it's quite shocking when I learned, when I learned in the conference about the oil spills, okay, how many we had in 2020 and 2021, I was shocked that the media never said anything. You know, where the hell is the media on this? Yeah, it's quite shocking, you know, and in some of these flooded areas, no one ever said anything about it. They only mentioned Germany. On the media, they mentioned Germany, how it just ripped up the street and exposed the pipelines in the streets and stuff. But they're not talking about the other, the catastrophe zones, like in the very poor areas. And, you know, in this conference that we just had, it was a real big eye-opener. It was an extreme eye-opener. And I'm not trying to veer off from the earthquakes, but you can't help but to. It's happening everywhere. The oil spills, the earthquakes, the floods, the synchronicity of what's happening over here and what's happening over there. And, you know, I'm amazed and I'm dumbified of how many people have not watched the conference and still post comments on, well, you're not telling the truth, your scientists are lying, and this and this and that, but they haven't taken time to see the facts themselves. And in our comments, which my part of the conference was that I was answering, replying to the comments of the live broadcast, along with Olga and a few other people. And the comments that they were posting was shocking. I'm like, well, just watch it and listen to it, and you'll understand what's really happening. And even afterwards, after the comments on TikTok, the little mini videos and the sections that are posted on there, they're not willing to go watch it, but they're willing to judge it. You know, and that's really disturbing. I mean, think outside the box, people. Look where we are. And we're not in a position anymore as human beings to say, okay, we'll let that go and then wait for the next one and we'll see what happens then. No, go and watch the conference before you start passing your comments coming from consciousness and not thinking it through. Watch it. Look at it. Watch it through. Check it out yourself. Look at the evidence of the CO2 or how human beings have such a small effect on the CO2 and how CO2 is used as this broader view of how everything is happening. No, please go and watch the conference. And if you do have a change of heart, join us at thecreativesociety.com. Come in and help out. There's many areas that you could be placed in. There's many things that you could be doing, sharing information, making short TikTok videos, making other videos, joining the live broadcast with you guys, getting to know our family. Because when you go and look at the faces of our family who are in despair around the world, and you look at the desperation of our family's faces, it breaks your heart. It brings tears to your face. And they think that there's nothing they can do. But in fact, there's much we can do. All we have to do is unite. And that was one of the solutions in the conference, uniting. That can change the whole scenario of everything, guys. So I'm imploring everyone to go and watch the conference. Don't judge. Don't comment. Please don't post any comments. Go and judge. Go and watch the conference and then go and give your judgment if that's what you feel like you need to do. But before you start saying anything, watch the information first. Watch the scientists who have been watch the scientists who've had their papers unpublished because they were telling the truth. Go and just listen to them. And yeah, that's what I have to say. And with the earthquakes that we had here, people did get together, but the whole point is this: why wait until a catastrophe happens? Why wait to watch billions of dollars being flushed out to something that you're never going to see rebuilt? You're never going to see used to help anyone else. So I implore you, please go and watch the conference and then pass your judgment.
Thank you so much, Ricky. And, a really important question you just voiced. Why wait? Why do we sit down here and wait until, the disaster comes to our door? Even though right now we have all the opportunities, all the possibilities for the global unification. And, it's not like uniting, holding the hands of each other and doing nothing. No, it's uniting the whole human potential. It's uniting our scientists who have brilliant ideas, who are, devoted their life to studying the particular areas they are experts in, and bringing the people together, giving them the opportunity to speak up, giving them the opportunity to share their ideas. This is probably one of the first steps towards the global unification and towards the global solution to the ecological crisis, the climatic crisis, the political crisis, and all these horrible things that are happening right now, and keeping us away from the creative society where we could actually be truly happy and live in a safe and prosperous world. And actually, you started coming to the next question that I wanted to ask Waqar. Waqar, you also in your speech mentioned that if the disaster happens in one country, it doesn't mean that it won't happen in your country as well. So the question is, what do you think? Can some individual countries or organizations cope with the crisis on their own? And how does global unification, what is the role of this global unification in the process of coping with the consequences and also in preventing these disastrous situations?
In order to work with that, or in order to just highlight the topic of global unification, I would just say, if we are going to be united, then our motive is going to be changed. As I said earlier, nowadays everything is business. Even if we talk about the news, like Ricky just said before, a lot happened in the last few months, let's say 2021, but a lot of things we have never seen on the mainstream media. And we were all shocked, like, how come it so much happened? It was never being reported. The answer is the same. We are living in a society where even the news will only take place on the mainstream if it is going to give you some bugs. If the news is unable to be sold out, you won't see that news on mainstream. That's the only thing. For example, it was mentioned even in the video which we have just shared with our viewers about the oil spill. It happened in August, but just because it happened in the Syrian territorial water, although it was the size of the New York City, it was not being given as much highlight as it should be. What if the same would have happened in some of the so-called developed country? Even half of it, it would have taken the media for at least 7 days. Why? Because it would be the news which they can sold out. Simple as that. So when we talk about the global unification, it can only happen when we have this motive in our mind that please stop selling, start cooperating. Stop selling and start cooperating. For example, if one country is equipped with the technology through which the earthquake can be seen prior, through which some of the tornadoes can be spotted prior, and the other country in the same region or some other region hasn't got the technology, cooperate with them. That's how we can overcome a lot of issues. Because see, one thing we all know, if something is happening naturally, it's very hard to, to overcome that thing 100%, but at least we can try. Why a lot of things, especially related to the climatic change, if you talk about the air pollution or the water pollution, is happening in most of those least developed or the underdeveloped countries because they don't have the resources. Why these things are not yet happening in some of the developed countries? Because they can foresee and they can overcome the situation before, but they don't want to cooperate. Why? Because of the format. We are living in the consumerist format. Sorry to say, this is not the creative society. And just because we are not a part of creative society, why would we share the resources if we know that we can make some bugs out of it? Well, that is a harsh reality, but this is the reality. And because of this format, because of not being the part of creative society, if my country today is going to develop something in terms of, let's suppose, technology, which is going to be helpful in terms of climatic change, in terms of space sciences, in terms of any XYZ, they will not share. The reason is we can make money out of it. Why would I be sharing it? Because if we say, okay, let's say you have got some technology through which you can save your people from some of the climatic issues and all, okay, I'll do that. And you can actually save some of the other people in some other parts of the country. I won't do that because I will not be able to make money out of it. So the thing is simple. We are selling everything. People are not being considered as people, being considered as product. And money is the most important out of it. We are up to the profit motive. We are not up to the humanity. So please, unite, put the humanity first, start cooperating, start building up the society which we just dreamed of. Rather than, like Ricky said earlier, people are so judgmental. Don't be so judgmental. First, see the things. See what is happening, how is it happening, if it is happening somewhere else, why did it happen there? Maybe you have got the same reasons, maybe you have got the same upcoming scenario and it is going to happen to you also. Till the time we are not going to take it seriously, till the time we are not going to take it as a society, we will not be able to overcome anything at all. So the solution is to build that creative society. Solution is to be the part of that creative society, and solution is not to think what I can do. Come and see what you can do, because it's simple. When there is a will, there is a way. When there's not a will, there are excuses. Stop coming up with excuses, come up with a way. If you really want to do something, the world is waiting for you. Join us.
Thank you, Waqar. Very nice words. Thank you. I actually like the thing about the media, the news, and what we can see is that if there is a disaster happening somewhere, they come, focus their attention, but only stay until another disaster somewhere else goes on, and then they move away, and no one thinks about the people who have lost their homes today, and no one's talking about, no one is caring about what's with the people after, let's say, several months, after a year, after this let's say, disaster, after they've lost everything, and these are the vital questions. And in creative society, this wouldn't be happening. And I also liked your input and also Ricky's input about, the haters in the comments. And from our experience, it's usually these sort of people. There is something deep inside of these people that touches them. This information just touches them. It's just that we have been used to this way of thinking. We have been taught from early childhood, do nothing, sit and rely on someone else to solve this issue, and you can just comment it, but you are just too small to do anything. So we actually cannot blame these people for this attitude. And usually from our experience, as already mentioned, there is something that touches them inside. And by, let's say, patiently explaining further, these people will overcome this mistrust that is widespread in this society that divides us, and divides the people from creative society. So again, by talking to these people, I think we can motivate them to join the creative society again and become active. And also, I would like to ask Ricky, what do you think personally, why is creative society format important to us today?
Well, we're human beings. We all have one thing in common, and that's we have a soul. And the creative society is very beneficial. When you read the 8 foundations, on every one of the 8 foundations reflects back to human life, the quality of a human's life, the position of that human's life, the personality of the safety, they bounce back on each other. And as we know that in our Constitution, it speaks similarly, not exactly, of the same ideas of the 8 foundations. But when you use the 8 foundations in a political way, it doesn't look good because they use it against people. But in the creative society, these 8 foundations of the creative society, which all of them represent human life, actually go forward toward the human life. Okay, they work for us and not against us. And everyone, and one of the greatest parts about the creative society and why I love it so much, and I've been involved in 7 months now, I think it's been 7. I keep saying 5.5, but I know it's been longer, but I've been sharing videos a lot longer. One of the main things about this is this cooperation of everybody. We work as one family, and that's what we are. We live on this planet together. Okay, you knock down the barriers on the walls. You got same prices everywhere. You could take a vacation anywhere you want to go. You don't need papers and passports and all this other craziness. And, as soon as the Creative Society gets information, it's really in there. We're one family, and the cooperation of everybody, always working together, coming together, being together. And this is the beauty of the Creative Society. It's like a utopian world, which a lot of people are going to say, "Oh my God, she said utopia, right?" No, this is real. This is like a utopian world. And, before I joined the Creative Society, I really thought it was nuts. I was like, this is going to be impossible. How are they going to pull this off? But then I got to watching more videos. I got to learning more. And I said, this can happen. From the information that I learned, and I implore everyone who's watching, go and check out the information. I'm not going to tell you what's look, but it's there. You'll see it. It's all there. From the first time period, from the last cycle that we had, the first 6,000 years, we lived in a utopian world. We had information that was left behind for us, warning of what's going to happen in the future. Now, in these past 6,000 years, our history has been slowly being wiped out. All our warnings of what's going to happen, everything. And in the Creative Society, and you could say that in this first 6,000 years, we had a Creative Society civilization. That's what it was like. Everybody worked together. There was love for love for human beings. Children were taken care of. The elderly. There was sick, sure, but they had medicines to take care of them. That was the beauty of then, and this is the beauty of the future, because I could see it happening. But in that creative society, the reason why I love it so much is the cooperation. Everybody getting together, everybody helping out. There's always something for the personality to come out and express itself in such a beautiful way. And, you know, and I love the Creative Society. The 8 foundations are my favorite to read during our meetings on Friday. You know, I like to give my examples of it because I like to speak to people in my own language and reach out to people where I come from in my own language. And that's what we should do. And, but I implore everyone to go to creativesociety.com. Join us. If you don't want to join right away, go and watch the videos like I did, okay? And check it out and look at all the past conferences. We had one on July 24th, quite beautiful conference. There's been many others. So I would implore everyone to go and watch it. If you don't want to join right away, if you feel not eager enough, just, you know, be patient with yourself. It can grow on you. It grows on you. And then you start to realize they're right. You're right. I mean, sorry, I have a fly. Just won't leave me alone. But the Creative Society is right. When we unify together and we get together, everything works out so beautifully. During any cataclysm, during any hardship that a family can go through, we work together as a family, and that's the beauty of it. So, but yeah, I love the Creative Society, and I know I know there's going to be more people this year. I just know it. I can feel it in my bones. So I'm hoping that this will grow very quickly. You know, it's what we need.
For sure, it will grow. Thank you so much, Ricky. Thank you for such an inspiring speech of yours. And I completely agree with you with the fact that if there is something new for every one of us, it is natural to be suspicious a little bit. But once you study, once you dive deep into the topic, you understand whether it's good or bad for you. So I would also encourage everyone to read the article about the stages of building the Creative Society and 8 foundations. Do your own research and understand whether this is something that resonates with you. And also, I would like to say that our international discussion is coming to an end, and I would like to pay my gratitude to our wonderful speakers today, as well as our audience, because it is truly important, vitally important, to raise these topics, to talk about them, to stop being silent, because finally the time has come when the truth can sound openly and honestly to the whole world. And one more time, I would like to invite our viewers to watch the conference that took place on December 4th, 2021, Global Crisis, Time for the Truth. You can go to creativesociety.com website, choose the language that you would like, that you prefer, and watch the conference, because our volunteers from 180 countries made everything possible to make this information available in 100 languages of the world. So one more time, thank you so much, everyone, for joining this discussion. It was amazing. And thank you for sharing your vision, your thoughts, your ideas and opinions on these really important topics. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you. And also, you know, Creative Society project is a project for the whole humanity. There is no you, me, or they, you know, so I would like to encourage you, dear viewers, if you have been at least a little bit inspired by the wonderful inputs of our dear guests, please ask your questions, provide your comments. You can send them to info@creativesociety.com. And as this series of international discussions is a daily based, so we'll be happy, you know, to either answer your questions in one of the next events or even invite you to be as a speaker. So again, thank you very much for your attention, and see you at one of the next episodes. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.